Hi, and welcome back to the Indusoft Web Studio video training for version 7.1. Today we're going to discuss remote management and how it's possible to download and interact with remote PC or HMI running Indusoft Web Studio. What we're going to cover today in this video is the remote agent piece of software that we have that's essentially a feature-rich download and remote management tool. The remote management connection from within Indusoft Web Studio development environment. We're going to show downloading to a remote runtime and also using remote database spy and remote logwin from a development environment to a remote device as well. So the general concept of this is this. You might have an industrial PC or a laptop or a desktop or a server running Indusoft Web Studio runtime on some Windows PC, or it could be our license for CE View running on Windows CE or mobile, or embedded view on an embedded Windows operating system. And the basic idea is this, is that this remote agent server piece of software, small piece of software that Indusoft has written, would be running on that remote PC. This would be your remote PC here. And then what would happen is you would use your Indusoft Web Studio development environment to connect to the remote agent that would connect you to that remote PC. Then you would download or update or manage files remotely, and then you could run your application by starting it from the development environment, starting it on the remote PC, and then at that point, optionally, you would no longer need the development, and theoretically at that point you could then stop the remote agent piece of software where your runtime, your Indusoft Web Studio runtime would then connect to its devices, whether it's a PLC, temperature controllers, drives, or databases or anything. But my point here is that you would not need the development environment and may not need remote agent running any longer. So let's go do effectively that. So what we're going to do is we're going to launch or have our project that we've been working with here, our our IWS training that we've been building on since the beginning of this training video series. What I also have here is a remote desktop connection into a PC that I have running here in my office. Now on that remote PC, I have Indusoft Web Studio installed, and I've launched this thing called Remote Agent. Now where can you find the Remote Agent? Let's go take a look at the help system here in Indusoft Web Studio. And here under Remote Management, installing embedded view or CE view on a target device, as well as downloading your project to a target device. So let's take a look at download your project to the target device. Now what we've done is we've run the remote agent piece of software, and that remote agent is actually called CE Server. Even on a Windows PC, a desktop version of the operating system, let's say XP or Windows 7 or even a server operating system, the file is still called CE Server, and ceserver.exe is actually the remote agent. It can be found on a PC when you've installed Indusoft Web Studio in the bin folder of where Indusoft Web Studio was installed. You can, however, find it on the embedded view or the CE view in the particular directory where the Windows in CE version of Indusoft Web Studio is installed. And here I'm going to go back under embedded view or CE view on the target device, and you can see here that it's actually installed under the redist folder, which depends on the particular type of processor that you have. So here's an example for embedded standard. You might find it here under Win Embedded, and then for Windows CE, you would find it under the redist directory WinCE50, and then the particular processor that you're running on, and then in the bin directory, then you will find ceserver.exe. So that's where you can find Remote Agent. So once you've got that installed and running, now there is a chance that you won't have to actually install embedded view or CE view If you're working with an Indusoft partner, there's a chance that they already have Indusoft installed on the particular device that you're using. But if you have to manually install it, here's the steps to do that. So once you have Remote Agent up and running, let me now get out of the help system and show you how to do that. Actually, before we do that, let's go back through downloading here. We're going to go through the Remote Management tool and talk about these different tabs that we have over here on the left-hand side. Then we're going to show how to run or stop the project either from the ribbon or from the Remote Agent, from the Remote Management tool itself. And then we'll talk a little bit about configuring that as well. So now we can get out of the help. So I have run CE Server, or what's known as Remote Agent, on the remote PC that I have here in my office. And this is just sitting here waiting, and it's listening at this point. And what I can do is go back here to the Home tab, and here under Remote Management, what I can do is connect. Now, what I will do is point to this IP address that's down here and choose 192 and tell it to connect. And at this point, it's going to warn us that we don't have security set up on here, and I highly recommend that you do this. But for this demo, I'm just going to say, yes, I want to connect without it. It's going to allow me to prompt myself again. Do not ask again. I'm going to say no to that. And now I can see that I am connected to the remote client, and here in the status, now this is actually the remote management from within the development tool. This is what's being shown on the remote runtime PC. Once I am connected, I don't need to disconnect when I get out of this tool. As an example, I can click on OK here, and it shows me that I'm connected, and I can stop or run or even download my project to that remote device. Or I can click here again on Connect and get back into the remote management tool. One of the first times that you do this, one of the things you're going to want to do is go to the Project tab here and choose a target on the PC that you're going to put this on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate back up here to where I have my Indusoft Web Studio projects installed. In this case, it's IWS 7.1, and I did a test a little bit earlier. And now I'm going to create a new folder there. In this case, I'm going to call it IWS Training. And in the IWS Training, don't forget to go into that folder, because if you install it, your project one level higher, all your files will be up at that kind of the root folder of where your projects would be, and not inside the project folder itself. So make sure you navigate into that. In previous versions from 7.1, you could not navigate higher than the path where CE Server was running on the Remote Agent, but now in 7.1 we allow you to go higher than that. You can even point to alternate drives as well. So now that we have that path selected, we can see that I am here on my target. That is my remote machine over here. Here's my local machine. Once you have that to a path where you want to put that, then you can download files. Here's a choice for only newer files. The first time that you download your project, all of them will be new files, so they'll all go down. But successive downloads could be faster if you have only newer files checked. Then it will send only the updated files down. So I'm going to go ahead and download, and now it's going to prompt us to make sure that the license is proper on the remote station. Do we want to go ahead and continue? And we can see now that it's actually downloading our project, downloading our databases that we've set up, all the files associated with that particular project. And then once it gets done, we will see finished line here. And the first time it downloads, it's a little bit longer than successive downloads because it doesn't necessarily have to update all the different files, especially if we have that newer files checkbox checked. So, okay, so here in just a second we should see finished download. And I'm not cutting this video, I'm allowing this to happen in real time so that you can see how long it takes to do this. And keeping going here, downloading the screens. some of the symbols that we created. Okay, and there we go. We see files were sent successfully. I can tell that everything was updated with success. And now on that remote PC, I can go ahead and click on Run, and what it will launch is my application on that remote PC. You can see the splash screen. This is a remote PC, so I'm seeing what that remote desktop is looking like. I'm just using the remote desktop feature of Windows 7 in this case, and it's going to tell me that I'm running the demo over there, the evaluation version, I should say. And now when we start this up, we will see our application just as we had it over here in our development environment. And my antivirus is telling me that there's a remote connection. So here is my, let's go back into the English version of this. So here's my runtime running on that remote PC that I downloaded that project to a remote PC across the room here. And let me show you some things that can be done with this. Again, as I mentioned, that you don't have to disconnect when you've connected with this. If I say OK here, it is still connected. And over here, I'm on the main screen, so I can actually open up the main screen and see the different parts of that screen. So for example, this polygon here is this polygon here. But let me show you one of the real advantages that Intusoft Web Studio has with this remote management tool. Let's say this particular unfilled closed polygon. Let me move it over here, and I will also change the properties to be oh, that's an open polygon actually, so I can't fill that. Let me do this. Let me just add another object to the screen. I'll go here into Shapes. I'll choose a closed polygon and make a triangle. Properties. And we'll fill that, and we'll make that one red so it stands out a little bit. So I've moved that open polygon. What I didn't notice was this, that is actually an open polygon, and then I've added this red polygon. So because I'm connected, when I save this screen, first it will prompt me. So I'm going to go ahead and click Save here, and it's going to prompt me, do you want to download this automatically? Even though you're just saving the screen, since it's connected, it detected that, and it's asking me, do we really want to download that? And you can change this message in the preferences, so this wouldn't even appear. But when I click Yes, it just takes just a matter of a second or so, and those changes have occurred. So again, I can just click on that, say Save, and boom, it's down there and taking effect. So you can really make some effective changes and see how they work and see how they interact quite efficiently and rapidly. So that's probably the main gist of this. But what I also want to show you is you can stop your project from this ribbon. You can start your project and you can even download it. Or we can go in here and do the same thing under project. We can start and stop or download. There's also the ability to send an individual file. So if we go in here, we can pick an individual file. So let's say that there was an updated graphic or an updated CSV file that you wanted to do. You can manage that remotely using this tool. You also have the ability to import a project so that you could tell it the remote path and the local path, and then receive or re-upload or import a project that you had downloaded previously to a particular runtime unit. Another possibility is using the embedded license. So if you're connected to an embedded version, you can receive the site code here, send that to Intusoft, and then get back a site key, and then remotely license your product if it's an embedded type device. Since I'm connected to a real PC across the room, not a real PC, but a non-embedded PC, I don't have that option available to me. So those are some tools that we can use in the remote management. Let's take a look over here, maybe on the animation screen. I can see some of these X values and Y values. Some of the other tools that we have available to us, and we don't have to be connected to use Database Spy and LogWin remotely, which is what we're going to do. I can disconnect here from that particular device, and now I can say Database Spy, and I can type in the IP address. And now I'm using Database Spy on my local machine here, pointing to the remote machine. But because I have security set up, I need to know my username and password. And since I think we had guest just enabled before when we did the security video, that I think I can just do guest. I can log on as guest, and now I can point. I'm using this version of Database Spy in the remote management tool to point to my remote PC. And here's the tag names for that X value and Y value on the animation screen. I can just right-click on one of these cells, insert tag or expression. It will remotely browse to that. And now if I wanted to navigate down to XVal, I can double-click on that. Click on OK, and it will go put that into here. And you can see that 47 has already come up, and I could just manually type in here YVal. And so I have 47 and 43. So as I change those, we can see them update here. Or if I want to do some remote troubleshooting, let's say I wanted to set this at 22, I could enter that and it would change remotely. And notice again that I don't need to be connected to do that. It happens when I type in that IP address when I first open up Database Spy. I can also use a remote version of Logwin to do something similar. So I just point it to that IP address, and then I can do a Logwin remotely for that, again, needing security. And once I do this, I can choose what I want to log. Display opens and closes, field read and write commands, so I can see all of that, and I can log that as necessary. One of the things also good to know is that here under options, I can leave that always on top so it doesn't hide as I change the focus of my windows. I can pause this, I can save this to log files, and use this to insert date and time as well. I can save it on disk. So I recommend that if you need to do some troubleshooting, you can use this, but don't necessarily leave this running all the time. It's another thing that you have to pay attention to as far as how resources are handled. So it's a good troubleshooting tool, but don't leave it connected necessarily, especially logging. Don't need it logging all the time unless you're doing some real necessary troubleshooting. Let's see, what else did I want to show you? We've got Remote Database Spy, Remote Logwin, licensing. So I think that's a majority of what I wanted to show you. Let's take a look back here under Connect. We can, I did not point this out, but we can also connect via serial ports. I don't happen to have a serial port on my particular laptop, but we can also connect using Microsoft ActiveSync. There's a couple of different flavors of Microsoft ActiveSync now. I believe here in the help we talk a bit about them and how we can actually connect to those different devices. I don't know if I'll find this while I'm looking, but Microsoft now has Microsoft Mobile tools, and let's see where if they mentioned it in here. I believe even the Zune software. Yeah, here we go. Microsoft ActiveSync now is also known as Windows Mobile Device Center, or you can even use Zune software as the connection mechanism to go through there. So we can use any of those. We can also support infrared connection if you're going over a serial port that is configured as an infrared connection. So there's a lot of different ways that we can get to download this remotely. So hopefully that gives you enough insight on how this works and how you can be efficient and save some time. I've personally seen installations where maybe you've had a small network set up and you've downloaded to 20 or 30 or 40 different remote stations from one central location. So I've personally done that, and I know we've also handled projects that have been in the thousands. So that is a possibility, and hopefully this showed you something you didn't know before. If you have any feedback, please let us know at info@indusoft.com, and have a great day. Thanks.